Okay, I'm going to do a quick overview of the Cayo Perico heist. So under Intel, gather Intel. This will actually start the mission to go scout the island. You can go scout the island multiple times, so clicking this will actually start a mission. Secondary targets. This is going to be per heist run. This is going to show you all the stuff that you scouted. I only scout the compound, so you're going to see the gold, the cash, and the one painting that I scouted earlier. Infiltration points. So these are going to be, let me switch back to the map. So you've got the airstrip. You need to scout that. Halo jump is going to be anywhere on the island. West Beach, I've never really used this. Main dock, I've never come in here, but scouting it is important because I leave through here on my method. North dock I've never used. North drop zone I've never used. South drop zone I have because we decided to do something a little different. Drainage tunnel. That's the most important infiltration point. It's what I use every time. You go straight into the compound, stay stealthy, and then it's just a quick run to the main dock to get out. That's the way I run this 99% of the time, unless I'm looking to do something different. Or if you have multiple people and you need more loot, you can go out and get some of the drugs around that aren't available inside the compound. Escape points. Airstrip. Main dock is the one that I always use, so that's essential. North dock, never used it. This one is what I did the first time. Since I was sneaking in on the sub, I figured it makes sense to sneak out on the sub. I thought I would be going out the drainage tunnel, but it turned out that they block off the drainage tunnel each time, so I wound up having to get all the way to the north side of the island, and then I had to swim to the sub. So I don't recommend this. It was the first time I did it solo, and I won't do it that way again. Compound entry points. So the main gate, the only way to get through that is to use explosives, so it is not silent or sneaky. I've never done it that way. North wall, there's a break in the fence. If you get a grappling hook and if you're looting outside the compound first, a grappling hook is the way to go here. North gate, you'll have to kill somebody on the outside and find a code in order to get in there. South wall is the same, it's just on the south side as the grappling hook location. South gate, same thing, you need a code. And there's the golden drainage tunnel. Points of interest. So this could be a few different types of things. The power station, once you scout it, it's always there. The control tower, once you scout it, it's always there. Here's where you can get things like the grappling hook that I mentioned. You can sneak around with guard clothing on, so if you scout any guard clothing while you're on the island, that's where this will show up. I'm missing a few things because I really don't do it that way, and I'm not doing a video on how to do it those other ways. I'm doing the compound only, silent and sneaky. So that brings us over to prep. The approach vehicles, I always get the submarine to go straight to the drainage tunnel. Elkonast, am I saying that right? That is to do the halo jump, and you can land pretty much anywhere except for in the compound because the air defenses will see you. The Vellum, that is to land and pretend you're a smuggler. In that case, you can't show up with weapons. You have to have someone stash the weapons for you in the airport. Stealth helicopter, I've done this a few times just to do a little different. That's the one where I said I did the south jump point. It is completely stealth, and you just basically start from 1 or 2 points, north jump point or south jump point. Patrol boat, I believe this is for going straight aggressive. I've never tried this. Longfin boat is also pretending that you are a smuggler, much like the plain Vellum, where you can go to one of the docks and start your mission instead of the airport. I've never tried it, but it's very similar. You're going to sneak in and then sneak away from where you're allowed to be. Equipment. loot, you see demolition charges, and then it says prep mandatory. I don't know why it says that. That's a bug. It's not true, because this is for destroying the main gate, as I mentioned before, and it's not silent or sneaky. Once you do any of these other ones, demolition charges will then say prep optional. You do not have to do this. I never do this one. Plasma cutter is to get into the main objective to cut the glass open. This one you won't necessarily get every time because sometimes there are barabons, and with barabons you have to sneak into a casino penthouse and get the code for the or the safe combo. Fingerprint cloner you will need each time, and the cutting torch you will need each time if you're going through the drainage tunnel. I would get it anyway just because it's much faster. Otherwise you have to find oh, that's another point of interest I didn't mention before. There are bolt cutters that you can find on the island, so you can cut open chains to get through and loot certain areas. Much like to get to the main objective, you need to cut it open with something. So the cutting torch really is the better option. It's faster. Weapon loadout, you always have to do one of these. I've already gotten the conspirator, so it's the only one that's going to show right now. Disruption, I usually don't do these. You can, so with weapons, you can attack their weapon shipment so that they have weaker weapons when you're attacking. I always go silent and sneaky so they don't shoot back at me. If we screw up our stealth mission, we usually restart anyway. So there's no real point in making them have poor weapons if they're not going to shoot back at us. Same thing with body armor. When I'm silent and sneaky, I'm not shooting them in the body, so it doesn't matter if they have this when they fall. Air support, there is something to be said for this. So you're taking out the buzzard helicopters. Obviously, if you did this aggressive, all of these disruptions would be useful, but for silent and sneaky, the only time you're really getting chased is at the very, very end. You're always going to have Rubio's helicopter, which has a 50 caliber, which doesn't hit you that much, but you can have, usually one buzzard is chasing you, sometimes two buzzards, and they have the minigun. If they do hit you, it can be pretty brutal. It can take a lot of your loot away, damaging it in your bag. But usually it's just one, and they aren't very good. They aren't a very good aim. Sometimes they get lucky, and if it just grazes one of your players, you'll usually lose about $7,000, which out of 2.1 million isn't terrible. So yeah, you would actually notice that there's no buzzard, but I never do this. Basically what I do is I scout the island, get the approach vehicle, the weapon loadout, and the last 3 equipments. So it's scout and 5 missions. So yeah, that is the overview theory of the whole heist.